I'm the captain, and I'm going to start this documentary by making a few claims that I will back up with undeniable evidence. I've located lands that have been hidden from us, multiple massive landmasses that are beyond our known world. Fully chartered, and I have the means to set sail in multiple vessels that I own once I've secured crews, including a second captain. Let me show you what no one else is capable of. If watched in full context, what I've got to show you will blow your mind repeatedly, including that the hidden lands that surround us are fully built out with old world architecture and infrastructure, just like how we see all around us. That the flat earth model is purposely incorrect and designed to deceive you. There is no ice wall, and I'll prove it. Everything you think you know about Tartaria is wrong. I figured out the entirety of the last great reset of humanity worldwide, and it only ended in 1860. Undeniably proven and fully explaining the mud flood aftermath. Australia and its natives are not what you think they are, and that our entire recent timeline has been fabricated.
We have no trustworthy maps, not a single one. We have no reliable source to show us the bigger picture of the realm we inhabit. I continued my journey, and as I ventured deeper into the forest, the path to the center that led me thus far was gone, and I could not turn back, and there lay no path in front of me. I became truly lost. How to know where you are going if you don't know where you are in the first place, if you don't have a map? All historical waymarks that I had invested some degree of trust in before were now completely unreliable and questionable. How much had been edited by the controllers? How much truth was left? What if all the maps were fake? Why are they hiding the maps of the last 2,000 years? We do not have one single accurate or honest world map. And like in all moments of being lost, right before despair takes hold, an unforeseen circumstance arose that set me back on course. I stumbled through thick overgrowth and out into a moonlit clearing with a small lake. At this clearing, I met a mysterious figure named Sturgios. I told him I was lost, and he told me to come and look into the lake. He told me to watch the water. What did I see? He asked. Myself, I replied. My reflection rippling and glistening in the moonlight. Mirror, mirror. Look beyond yourself, he said. What do you see? And there it was, just as it had always been. Mirror, mirror, way up high. Mirror, mirror in the sky. Mirror, mirror, oh how they lie. It cannot be. All this time, hiding in plain sight. A distorted, unreliable yet steadfast reflection, a quasi-photographic image of both our known world and what is this? This is the unknown world. Thank you, Sturgios, for all your work. Sturgios has mapped out each continent to the minutest detail. His work is meticulous. He has mapped time zones, seasons, flight paths and distances. The first true flat Earth map, and it is of utmost importance primarily due to the unknown landmass over here that Sturgios has named Terra Vista, after the Eberno Monte landmass of the same name. Why have we never heard of this land before? If the area here is our known world, then the realm is absolutely enormous. If the area here is our known world, then the realm is absolutely enormous. But wait a minute. Sturgios' presentation of our known world here maps the 5 prominent circles of latitude. We see the Arctic Circle, the Tropics, the Equator, and the Antarctic Circle. And Sturgios has mapped the Sun's concentric journey around these circles of latitude, mapping seasons and time zones with the utmost precision and accuracy.
As I briefly explained towards the start, the moon is not a solid object that Freemasons can land on. It's a focused electromagnetic plasma phenomenon. Electromagnetic energy comes from below the Earth at the magnetic north. The moon is a reversed image of our flat world's floor plan, a mirrored bird's eye view. Our never-changing face of the moon. By altering the colours, the world around us starts to appear. And I'll refer to this as the political map. It will help you get your head around it a bit better. This lunar map is so accurately detailed that it's an impossibility for it to be a coincidence. I believe in nothing, and I've tried to debunk it, but I can't. It lines up perfectly with the Monty, and I know the Monty map to be accurate. And there's some of you thinking, Captain, you're contradicting yourself now. You said a map is only a real map if it retains a built-in key, a navigational guide to navigate the very map itself. And you're right. Don't take them eyeballs off your screen. Perfection. There's the key. Monty chart is amazingly accurate for its day. The lunar chart is amazingly accurate today. Before I get stuck in, I want to thank Vibes of the Cosmos for his years of research on this subject. His work's outstanding, and with respect to Vibes and every other genuine truth journalist, unfortunately, like most researchers, they make mistakes and sometimes don't comprehend the bigger picture and allow themselves to be blindsided with beliefs pushed upon them. So like with all these subjects I've touched on during this presentation, I've corrected, connected and finished Vibes of the Cosmos' work on this particular subject. Vibes has got the locations of the exterior lands in the incorrect areas geographically, in the wrong order and even missing in his seemingly unfinished work. These mistakes were for 3 reasons. 1. Vibes doesn't understand the destruction of the recent Little Ice Age between the 1587 Monty map and modern maps and the severe amount of land lost. 2. Vibes is not an expert in cartography specialising in Old World cartography and particularly the Abono Monty 1587. 3. Vibes is not a sailor nor truly understands marine navigation, chart plotting or astronavigation. Vibes mistakenly labelled this landmass as Nova Guinea, but this is actually Al-kahf. What I've outlined here was Nova Guinea's original location before the destruction of the Little Ice Age, and everything inside this line was part of Nova Guinea. And here are the rest. As you can see, this includes Australia and New Zealand, amongst other surrounding islands like Fuji. I can undeniably prove this geographically amongst dozens of other proofs, mainly with the help of Monty's map, the key. And the implications are mind-blowing. Australia is full of old world and even ancient architecture predating the recent reset and the Little Ice Age. Meaning there was built up architecture and infrastructure not only in our known world, but even in the outer lands that surround us. The mainstream tells us that Australia was discovered by James Cook in 1770 and named Australia around 1825, and every old world building there was founded after. And as you can see on the Monty map, Australia's massive landmass is missing in the highly detailed area that Australia should be in geographically. There's only one country missing on the entire Monty map. Guess which one? Yep, Australia. But in reality, Monty didn't miss Australia out. It's right in front of you. Well, what Australia used to look like before every volcano in the area blew their tops all at once for years on end, causing massive earthquakes, mudslides and entire countries to fall into the oceans during the Little Ice Age that only ended in 1860. Now, let me give you one of the undeniable proofs, then I'll get onto a few of the more interesting proofs out of the dozens that I've collected. There's a couple of ways that we can use Australia's position geographically today and use it to locate the same area on Monty's map. The tropical zodiac is a system that divides the sky into 12 equal parts, each corresponding to a zodiac sign. The tropical zodiac is not directly used for navigation, but understanding celestial movements is crucial for us navigators. The Tropic of Capricorn runs through South Africa, South America and Australia. This line of latitude marks the southernmost point where the sun can be directly overhead at noon during the December solstice. The Tropic of Capricorn runs through the southern part of South Africa, just like on the Monty map, and runs through the central part of South America, as on the Monty. and lastly run through Australia's central region. As I follow the Tropic of Capricorn into the area where Australia now geographically sits, there's only this section of land that Capricorn runs through, showing the location of Australia on the Monty map. And guess what landmass we're on? Yep, Nova Guinea. Lines up perfectly, and Australia geographically sits right here. New Guinea just under the equator line, and the Indonesian islands all line up geographically to Australia's position too. Using Borneo as a reference, as its name hasn't changed since its 1587 map, and Borneo today, we've got Malaysia, Singapore, Java, which has took a serious hit since 1587, the Seychelles, New Zealand plus surrounding islands were also part of Nova Guinea. Pre-Little Ice Age and the destruction that came with it, Papua New Guinea was known as the Glio Kingdom, but we still see remnants of the old city names like Papuas, Papua New Guinea. The narrative says the Spanish were the first to name it after the reset, Nueva Guinea. Nueva Guinea, Nova Guinea. Clearly named after the country and outer ring landmass that had just been renamed Australia. The documented civilization in Nova Guinea was called the Kingdom of Brasilia. Australia, Brasilia. Sounds similar, but it gets weirder. The oceans on Monty's map behind the ring of continents were titled, behind Nova Guinea, now Australia, Oceano Austral Giatico. Altogether, it just translates to Southern Ocean, but if we take the word as it was written and said at the time, Austral, the V's in ancient Italian were pronounced as a U in modern Italian, so it's Austral, Australia. Now, is it a coincidence that the newly named Australia can be made up from the same name of its previous kingdom, Brasilia, and its ocean, Austral? Plus, when you add Nueva Guinea, Nova Guinea, New Guinea, that's the old country, its kingdom, and ocean's name hidden inside the new names. Obviously not a coincidence, as I've already proven this is Australia geographically. Discovered in 1770, my hairy Scottish arse was it. I could keep doing this with the name links, but I want to show you the people of the Kingdom of Brasilia. There's multiple descriptions of the inhabitants of Nova Guinea on Monty's map. The photos I'm showing are of the now called Australian Aboriginals, New Zealand Maoris, and the New Guinean peoples. These peoples are of the same race, just different tribes and separated by the destruction of the Little Ice Age. In these countries, which are not yet well known, men go naked and among them. The oldest perform the office of kings, who however govern in the manner of a republic, seeing in all manner of a barbarian, without any policy in this. The inhabitants of this country do not want the trade of strangers or their friendship, and this is forbidden by their kings under the greatest pains and a gift for idlers, meaning come ashore and we'll kill you and eat you. During any of the expeditions, if I anchor up offshore and this lot come running down the beach, or this guy pops out of his house with his dear old mum, I'm out of there. The last thing I wanted to mention before we move on is the weird unique animals and critters shown on Monty's map of Nova Guinea. Now don't get me wrong, there's unusual critters all over Monty's exterior lands, but Australia is often regarded as the land of unique wildlife and having the most extraordinary and rare species on Earth. Let's have a quick look at what happened to the survivors of the Brasilia Kingdom after the Little Ice Age and British and Europeans founded it once more, blessing its natives with their Christianity. 95% of the native Nova Guinean people were genocided, raped and enslaved during massacres that sickened me during my proof gathering for this documentary, and I won't be repeating any of it. What I found pained my body and soul. Especially this Jumanji looking piece of shit. If there's a jaw I'd like to break, it's his. I'd like to see him smirk then. Evil bastard. And where did they take them? Probably to dig out all the mud flood in North America, then dig their own graves. The most mind-blowing thing about Nova Guinea, what we now know is Australia and New Zealand, is this outer ring landmass that's meant to be part of the Great Imaginary Ice Wall had fully built out cities and infrastructure pre-reset, pre the Little Ice Age. The same infrastructure we see all over Australia today. And as this part of the ring of land around us was built out and was inhabited by its builders in the past, it's only logical to expect all of these land masses to be built out with infrastructure. I've known this for a while and it still blows my mind to think about the possibilities. Let me show you how they hide these lands from you. These are the marine traffic paths. These are the flight paths. These lands are hidden to us on their modern distorted maps, but visible on the lunar chart, Monty map plus other old world maps. As you can see, both marine and flight traffic misses these hidden lands with perfection, and gives more accurate flight plan times than their own distorted map and their flat earth fake map. Back down to Antarctica. This is what Antarctica is, this tiny little turd. A small island off South America. Like I said, close to its mainstream narrative, but the main lie is its size. It's not continent number 7, it's a small island, a remnant of the Land of Fire. That dot right there, that's the Ross Ice Shelf, also known as the Ice Wall. Scary, right? How are we going to get over it? How are we going to get around it? We must be trapped. In your minds, maybe. You've been brainwashed into believing in an ice wall with zero evidence of its existence whatsoever. When millions of people woke up to the realisation that we don't live on a globe, the cult knew that our next step was to go look for ourselves. So they conditioned everyone to believe in their ice wall that traps you in your mind like their globe used to. It's really sad to see how effective their deception was. What else are you willing to believe without any evidence whatsoever? These islands are also part of the Land of Fire, but these are hidden on the cult's modern maps. The second landmass on Monty's map was completely destroyed with no remnants left on the lunar map. Once our current and coming ice age are complete, there'll be nothing left down here. Once our current and coming ice age are complete, there'll be nothing left down here. Galicia was decimated too. On the lunar map there's a faint line in between these landmasses. I wish I could give you more than my scribbles over Vibes' map, but I'm not a very technical man. If you do have the technical skills to create a similar type map like Vibes' map, but with my corrections to it, obviously I'd pay you for your services, please get in touch. So Galicia is about the same size as Canada, America and Mexico combined. Look at the size of Al-kahf. The fact that they give us Australia but not this and go to the extreme lengths to hide it from us, I'm guessing this is a landmass that the cult inhabit for themselves. I've collected a dozen clues and hints that this is the case, like this photo from inside Air Force One, JFK's presidential plane. Notice the map on the wall. And no, that's not Australia, that's Al-kahf. It's highlighted in lots of old world cartography. Al-kahf has good weather, easy and quick to access, plus this continent didn't see much destruction during the Little Ice Age. We've already been quickly over Nova Guinea, aka Australia, New Zealand and surrounding islands, but still, look at all this land south of Australia. On to Pearly. This was completely missing off Vibes' map locations. The creepy thing is, in 1587 this continent was inhabited by a civilization of people described in Monty's map. And bear in mind he was correct about the Nova Guinea people, so chances are he's right about the Pearly peoples too. Less known, but this is what I've got. In these countries it's not allowed for foreigners to live there, and everyone goes naked, so we're seeing a trend. And is very white. Very white to me sounds odd, coming from white Caucasians. During my research I did find a fair few photos of New Guinean people painting themselves white, and they did this to scare off peoples and other tribes. Or maybe they were just pale-skinned. On to what I call Vista 3. Remember on the Monty, all three of these continents were called Vista or Land of Vista, implying that there's some type of connection that I've never been able to connect. Maybe one of you can. But look at the size of this landmass. We could fit 3 of our world's land combined into this area. It's gigantic. And the chances are this entire area is fully built out with ancient and old world infrastructure, possibly even populated. We've got Vista 2, a series of lands twice the size of Europe. Again, I bet this land is fully built out. And the last gem, Vista 1, previously known as Atlantis. Destroyed during ancient times, but not sunken like the legends state until the destruction of the Little Ice Age. Obviously Vibes also figured out that Atlantis was down here, but like most on his layout, Vibes mistakenly classed Vista 2 as Atlantis. Most that search for Atlantis are taken way off the mark with fantasy. Like in any research, stick to the facts and you'll always get to the truth. Use logic. Atlantis, Atlantean, Atlantic Ocean. Now, quickly going back to the different timelines of architecture. Now you're starting to understand the 4 different timelines. There's ways that we can prove that pre-reset timelines people did not build the stunning ancient and old world architecture. As Monty states, these outer landmasses were not yet well known. Monty's 1587 map was made towards the end of the pre-reset timeline. 20 years later, the world went to shit. So we know it wasn't the pre-reset timeline that made these structures we see all over places like Australia. The main mud floods happened between 16 and 1700. The narrative says that these Australian structures weren't built until the late 1800s, but all of them are severely mud flooded. So they either built all of these palaces, then decided to bury them all in mud, or these buildings were built pre-mud flood. So these structures are clearly built pre-reset and pre the Little Ice Age. And we know it wasn't the Nova Guinea peoples, the Brasilia Kingdom's people, that built these structures. Ancient and old world buildings all over Australia, which are of the same architectural style as structures in England, France, Spain and the rest of the known world. It's an impossibility that the Nova Guinean people built their structures in exactly the same way, especially with these people having no contact with the outside world during their timeline. The Nova Guineans inherited this land and its infrastructure just as the rest of the pre-reset timeline did. Just as our timeline inherited what was left from our pre-reset timeline. These buildings were created by the ancient and old world timelines people before their own demise. Clearly the ancient and old world timelines people inhabited all lands, including the outer ring of landmasses that surround us. Monty's time, the people pre-reset to us, obviously had a higher knowledge about our world compared to our dumbed down timeline. Humanity has never been this stupid. Right, before the ice wall lovers start pointing around the lunar edge and screaming ice wall, let me show you a crappy experiment I did. This black piece of paper represents our world. Everything we see on the Monty and lunar maps. All around our known world I've placed other charts representing other landmasses beyond. I've got a round mirror, this represents our moon's reflection. It's in no way to scale, but that doesn't matter, you'll get the point. The camera represents our perspective looking up at the moon. And as I rotate the moon around our world, this is a reflection, our perspective. All we see is a round reflection of the immediate land around us, but we can't even see the full black rectangle piece of paper, only a small circle part of it. So does that prove that the rectangle is actually a circle? No, because we can step back and we know 100% that there's more than the little circle that we can see from ground level. My logical mind only gives 2 possibilities. This circle is the edge of the known world, a barrier, maybe even an ice wall, a sealed unit from that point onwards. Or, like I said with my experiment, when you look into your bathroom mirror, do you see the reflection of the entire wall behind you? or just a part of it? Knowing for a fact that these hidden lands exist, this creates more issues and questions. We know for a fact that our local moon and sun both circle and spiral around our north. But if this outer land, large enough to fit 3 times our world inside, doesn't get the warmth from our local sun, it must be in darkness and frozen. Now, this is just a theory until I prove it, and I eventually will because I'm right. It would be a waste to create this massive landmass, plus possibly more beyond, to only allow a tiny part of it to be livable and accessible. It just doesn't make sense to me. And whenever something doesn't make sense to me, it's always because it's wrong. My soul resonates with the truth and receives information directly from source, and I feel it in my bones that these lands are habitable. If this area wasn't receiving warmth, the land and oceans would be frozen. There wouldn't be any distinctive features between the frozen land and seas, and the moon's reflection would look more like this. But that's not what we see. We see separate land and liquid oceans, indicating warmth and light. How could the moon reflect darkness and show landmasses in such detail? The only logical explanation would be this area has its own heat and light source. The sun and moon are yin and yang. You can't have one without the other. And you can't have either without their power source, a magnetic north. My unproven theory is that this land has its own sun and moon. Light, warmth, a power source and a magnetic north. Once becoming out of range of our lunar map, the next moon will come into view. Our moon and sun are not unique. I don't know how far the land goes before its inevitable containment, but at the end of the day, neither do any of you. And there's only 2 ways that we can find out. Remove the cult and gain back the secret libraries and knowledge, and or just go and look for ourselves.